Hello there everyone and welcome back to another review. So today is going to be a different review than usual because I'm going to review two products in one video because both products are extremely linked in each other and on the same theme. This is also a theme that I've never made a review on, and it's something that I'm quite new in and that I'm learning because I do want to perform effects such as the ones that I'm going to talk about in my shows whenever that will be in X months. And yeah, so today we're going to talk about Tarot Psychometry by Jermay and by Matteo Filippini's Tarot Magic. So this is what we're going to talk about. And for those here that are going to want to watch only one of the two reviews, the second half of the video will be the Matteo Filippini review, while the first part is going to be the Jermay. But watch both because you'll probably want to get both together if you do end up getting them. So let's go first on Tarot Psychometry. So what is the routine? So the basic effect is you have the 22 major arcana cards, which are the cards with the pictures, and you shuffle them, and then you give a small pack of cards to one spectator, another one to another spectator. So essentially you give them to 5 spectators. So they mix up the cards, they look at them, they study them, they choose the one that resonates the most to them, they take it, they place it on their chest, they keep the rest in their hand. You ask another spectator to come up and collect the cards, keeping the cards that the spectator hold to their chest in their right hand while they put all the discards in their left. You tell him to come next to you, put the rest on the table, and shuffle the cards that that the spectators have chosen, and to give you one card at a time. You take the card, you study the card, you do a reading on the card and essentially on the person that picked it, and then you're able to divine whose card that was. And for the last person, essentially the kicker is that the last card, you tell your spectator to not even show you the face and not even show you the card, and you kind of look into the eyes of the person, or however you want to present this, and you're able to give them a reading and then essentially tell them what card they chose without even looking at the card. So that's the main routine. So what do you get with this? You get two things. You get a small physical book that's around 42 pages long, and you get a video sample of around 40 minutes. That's basically a small kind of run through the routine and some additional ideas that maybe will reinforce certain points in the routine for you if ever you're confused on what's written. So let's focus on what's written. The text is pretty clear, it's pretty short, it's not really long. You get kind of a forward, you get an introduction, you get kind of the explanation of the method, and then you get into the breakdown of the routine. You also get the full script of the routine that Jermay does with this. And that's essentially what's in the book. It's pretty clear. The routine is extremely simple. This is something that when you're going to read it and you're going to learn it, you're going to be like, why did I not think of that? That's so obvious. That's going to be the type of thing that you're going to get. But you do want to have kind of the structure and the routining of it, because it is quite beautiful and is quite an impactful routine when done well. And there are a few things that you may not know and will catch you by surprise. So that's a maybe. I don't know what everyone's kind of level is with this type of tricks and 5 spectator predictions, but it's not something that I saw often. So even though I was surprised by the method and was not what I was thinking, it is quite simple, and it's going to be something that you will be able to perform after reading. If this is the most important part, if you know the 22 major arcana, because he does not explain them. He does not explain you what the cards mean. So if you want, you could maybe go on YouTube to learn them. Maybe you could go on Google or Safari to learn them. Or maybe you could buy additional resources that are going to explain it to you. But they are explained in the next product I'm going to review in just a bit. So that's why I told you that they're linked together. So another thing that I want to mention about this routine that is quite important is what tarot cards to use, because you can't use any cards. So I got here 2 examples for you to showcase you the cards that you would want to use and the cards that you would not want to use. So let me take them out, take the same card just so you could see here. Perfect. So I'll take this one. So essentially, there's two types of tarot cards. There's the image tarot cards and there's the image and number tarot cards. So on this one, you just have the name and the picture that represents the name, while on the others, you have the name, the picture, and the Roman numerals according to the card. So for this routine, this would not work. And even for the routines in Matteo Filippini's, these cards will not necessarily work. You can use them for most of the routines, but for some routines, these cards would not work because you will need cards that have both the image, the name, and the third edition, the Roman numerals. And it does not matter what numeral it is as long as you have it. So that's very important. I'm going to mention it if people skip ahead. I'm going to re-mention this for you. But this is important that you want a card that has, again, the last time I'm going to repeat it before the other review, the image, the number, and the name. So you do not want cards that are just the name and the picture or anything else. So that's an important note. So now that you know what you get, what you receive, what the routine is, how it goes, I'll kind of wrap it up already for the Jermay Psychometry because there's not much to say about it more because it's a very short product. The positives is that it's a very good routine. It's going to be quite enjoyable to perform because it's foolproof, and you're going to be able to focus on the presentation and creating a connection with the spectator, which is the most important when doing magic. So for me, that's the biggest positive. However, there are some negatives. You're going to have to carry a tarot deck with you at all times. This is only for 5 people. Yes, you can only perform this for 5 people. You cannot do this to 3 people. You cannot do this to 4 people. You could, but it's going to lessen the impact by a lot and it's going to create some problems in the method. So essentially, this is only performed for 5 people. So you cannot do this for anything less. And another thing is the price. This is quite expensive for essentially what you get. A 42-page booklet with a small just edition that doesn't really add much is quite expensive. 55 US dollars for this comes up to almost, for me in Canadian, to like $91. So this is almost $100 purchase, and I feel like it's quite expensive for the simplicity of it, but it is quite a good product. I would have liked the price to be a little bit cheaper. I feel that Jermay could easily have sold this for 35 or 40 max, but again, I'm not the one selling it, and I've not created magic to know how expensive this should be, but this is quite something on the more expensive side for what you get. But if it is something that interests you, and it was something that interests me, I did purchase it, and even though it was expensive, I know that if I perform this, it's going to get the value of the money. So I give Tarot Psychometry by Jermay an 8.5 on 10. So I do dock it points because of the price and mostly because it's very circumstantial. You're not going to be able to perform this everywhere you go. And for example, even if you're at a birthday party and there are people on a table, you're probably not going to start doing tarot readings for people at a birthday party table. So it is very circumstantial, and the price, so I can't give it more than 8.5. So it's a good product, but I can't give it more. Perfect. So now we'll move on into the second review, which is Matteo Filippini's Tarot Magic. So what do you get in that? It's a 50-page ebook that you can buy for $15 on his site, Matteo Filippini Magic or Penguin Magic. I decided to buy it on his own site because you get an extra 5-page booklet with some additional resources, methods, and some little tips by another magician, which I've found that even if it's the same price for a little 5-page booklet extra by Pablo Amira, it is worth to buy it on his own site and support him through his own work site. So in that you get a lot of routines. You get, I believe, 11 or 12 routines, if I'm not wrong, from different magicians. And you also get, at the beginning, you get kind of a run-through of the major arcana cards. So he doesn't give you the full definition, but for example, let me take this up from the ebook so I could tell you exactly what you're getting without being wrong about this, and to explain to you some of the things. For example, the High Priestess that I just showed you, He doesn't give you much, but he does give you, for example, very positive card to women, taking care of others, and great sensitivity. So that's all he gives you about the card. So you don't get major explanation about it, but just with these three things, you could probably develop your own definition of what the card is. So this is going to help you kind of learn the cards with just short 2 or 3 phrases of text that are going to help you shape what the card is and help you in your readings, because essentially you're not there to do a tarot reading. You're there to include a small reading that's maybe 1 minute long with your trick. But the essential of the trick is creating the kind of environment and the emotion with the spectator. So yeah, but if you do want to make a full tarot reading, this is probably not going to be enough for you to fully develop your tarot expertise in the area with just these few phrases that he mentions. He's also going to give you some tips on how to approach tarot magic. So essentially what to do, what not to do. So for example, he tells you don't start, doing with tarot cards, this type of shuffles, this is not adequate for a tarot deck. You're not trying to be a gambling tarot master here. You're trying to create emotion. So just a simple shuffle like this or a simple cut on the table will suffice. So you don't want to go overboard. And he gives you some really nice tips such as these to create that you're actually trying to create an emotion, and that this is kind of a personal trick rather than this being a card trick through the image of tarot cards. So he does give you some good tips on this. He does give you tips on cold reading. He does give you some sleights and some forces that are simple to use. And he gives you quite some good tips. He also gives you really good tricks. I'll tell you guys one of them that is probably gonna be one that I do. It's similar to a trick by Juan Tamariz. It's directly inspired by it. And it's essentially, you have a pack of cards, you ask your spectators to cut it. They cut it. Then you tell one spectator to choose the card, the other spectator to choose the card. They place it back. They give the deck a cut. Then you separate the cards into 2 piles, and then you're going to have 2 piles of cards, and you're going to tell them, perfect, so I'm going to study the cards that I have in the pile, and I'm going to see the one that connects with you most. And you're starting to give a reading to the person. You're going to be like, I sense that you're more optimistic, you're more open, etc., etc. And then you take out the card and say, perfect, I think that's the card for you. You go in the second pile, you give a small reading through the cards, and just as before, then you take out 1 card, you place it in front of the table, and you say, perfect. So now you both have chosen a card. We mixed them. They were completely separate. They were shuffled in, and I gave you kind of an idea of what I thought your card is, and I give you an idea of what your card is. Would you say that's correct, what I said? They both say yes, and then you say, perfect. So I think that, what was the card that you chose? What was the card that you chose? And he tells you the Lovers, and you show the Lovers, and she tells you, or he tells you, Justice, and you show Justice, and it's a perfect match. So that's my favorite routine because it involves 2 people. It involves kind of working together. But there are a lot of numerous other really strong routines that I like, especially another one is something that I saw in Pablo Amira's At the Table lecture, not Penguin lecture, At the Table lecture. And his routine is kind of used here, but his slide is improved in the lecture, which I quite like. So essentially, you put a prediction on the table and you wave it over the spectator's hand. So this would be from a different deck. So you wave it over the spectator's hand. Then you have the tarot deck. You ask them to shuffle. And then you start waving the cards over the spectator's hand and ask them if they feel a connection. If they say no, you take the card, you discard it, and you continue through. And let's say they feel a connection over here. You take the card, you place it on the table next to the other card that you took out before from another deck. So this would be another deck. And so essentially it would be a card like this. So then you tell, this was on the table even before we started. And I tried to give you a connection, and that's because you give a reading on the card. Then you take out the card and you show that it's a perfect match. Of course, here is not a perfect match, but in the routine, these cards are going to be identical, and you show that they felt what you felt as well when giving them the card. So that's another routine that I really like. And there's a lot more. There's also some that use marked decks and some other trickery that I can't really get into to expose methods, but that's essentially the package you get. This is more an opening because you do get even kind of like I told you, some readings on cards and some tips on cold reading. So if you do want to get into this type of magic, this is a cheap entryway into the magic of tarot. So this could be your entryway and your first point of entry, because you do get routines and you do get kind of a full package with just 15 bucks. And if you do like this, maybe then you could venture into spending more money into Luke Jermay's routine, because even if you get Jermay's routine, you don't get explanation of the tarot cards and cold reading and all that. So you're probably going to need something else, and this is your something else that you could buy. So now that I've told you kind of everything on it, I'll give this a 9 on 10. This is, again, a really good product, but again, I'll dock it a few points because the main positives that I'm going to mention to you is the routines. They're fun. It's well written. It's, it gives you some additional tips that most books don't give you. But the downside is that a lot of the routines used something that's not available anymore on the market. You cannot find a tarot deck like that anymore. So a lot of the routines are gonna not be able to do them as clean as with what he mentions. So, that's a little bit annoying that a lot of the routines do rely on a deck like that, but you're not going to be able to perform it because they don't exist anymore in the market. The only one that exists, I forgot the name, I'm sorry, but it came out not long ago, but it is poker sized. And I feel that if you want to do tarot magic, please just do not do it poker sized. Please take the normal size of tarot cards. It makes it better, because if you come out with a deck of cards that just basically printed the tarot face on it, I feel that it takes away kind of the impact of it. Because if you ask people what are tarot cards, if they don't know exactly what they are, the only feature that they do know and that they will remember from when they saw it is the size. So people will remember the size, and that's going to be one thing they attribute to it. So if you come up with your bicycle deck of cards with tarot faces on them, it's going to quite lose the impact. So on the market, decks such as these that are specially made to help you from the back don't exist anymore. So that's a reason why I dock it some points as well. But essentially, it is a good product. A 9 on 10. I do like it. And yeah, this is quite something different. This is 2 reviews in one. I decided to do this so I do not put up 2 videos on tarot magic, just bundle them up together, because they do work well side by side. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you guys are doing well. You're learning some magic. You're taking this time to improve your scripts, to improve your tricks, to maybe discover some things that you have in your thrown out magic tricks drawer. Like me, I'm starting to look through it and find new stuff. And yeah, so just like, subscribe. If you have any questions, just message me on Instagram or in the comments. I'll answer as fast as I can. I appreciate any comments, and if you want, go watch my previous videos. I have some really good hot products right now that I've reviewed, such as Silver Edge 2 or Impulse by Luch. Go check those out, and thank you guys. Have a good day, and hopefully I see you in another review this week. I won't promise it, but most probably I will try to get to you a review either Wednesday or Friday, because it is my final season. Even though I'm at home, I do have exams. So thank you very much, and see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.